interesting at the time, and congratulations. Now you're married and you have a child. And I don't know whether it said something about me, but I'm just wondering if sort of being at each other's throats, Virginia Woolf style, every day, sort of brought you closer together off screen in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think now that we were married and we have a baby, we would have maybe been able to draw from some more real feelings. In the beginning, we were like just badly in love and just starting. So so Logan talked about how it was weird, and then we'd get home and we'd be like, "Wait, I'm not mad at you. What's happening? Why are we still yelling?"
We'd spend 12 hours angry at each other, shooting those dinner scenes, and we'd come really home, and I'd be like washing a glass, and she's like, "You done with it?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" Come here. And we would like just, I mean, really, like, it's cliche actor bullshit, but you spend 12 hours in a mood or trying to get to a place, and then when you go home and you're supposed to just like take it all off, but it's hard. You have to hug it out, you know? Like, make out with me now. I love you. You know, it was weird. It was a weird thing. We got tattoos on our first date, so we were in it. Like, let's see, what was our second? So she had that one, and I had this one. So we got trashed.
You can actually see yours in the film.
Yeah, you can see my insulin pod in there, and I go, "Hey, should we take that off?" And he's like, "No, it's real." I'm like, "Okay, great."
Yeah. Well, when right after Foster Snake says that he has AIDS, you guys hug, and he has the exact same scar tattoo too, so you can see them both in the embrace. It's kind of
and
cool.
Foster's he's one of our best friends, but he's absolutely fucking ridiculous. And like when I first saw that tattoo, I'm like, "Man, where'd you get that?" He's like, "Man, I lived in a time, man." And you're like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "I was in a rollover and everybody died with me, and this reminds me of that." I'm like, "Shit, really?" He's like, "Nah." What happened?
Well, honestly, the Snake character, he was never born. Like, as soon as you meet him, you invented him, and he's really this weird character. Like, this was a alternate universe version of himself in a strange way, but the reality was, like, you know, it was written that he was drunk, and so he showed up hammered, like this much left in the bottle, and it was
just with the bottle in the hand, just for shooting.
Yeah, so that was it was a rough day.
May I?
Yeah, please.
All right, so here's the deal. We've known this guy for years and years. He's one of our best mates, and lived and died with this guy, and done lots of drugs with him and stuff. And I mean, not really, but don't do drugs. Thanks, man.
We were kids.
Oh, he shouldn't do drugs either. Anyway, so Foss shows up trashed, and it's one of those moments of like, you know, when all else fails, try acting. You know, you don't need to be trashed to be trashed. But then we started fighting, physically fighting, and he was breaking shit, and Brian flipped out on him. And he was like, "Dude, you're fucking the movie up. I can't believe it. Show up drunk." And Foss goes, "You're kidding, right?"
Yeah.
Like, he kept, and Brian
he
kept going,
felt
"I'm
that
serious,
I was
I'm
doing it
serious."
to egg him on, like to get him more in character or whatnot, but I was just losing my mind. I didn't know what to do, and then I also was like in the struggle with like, all right, I mean, he's my buddy, but it's like I'm the director here, and I've got to, like, you know, put my foot down and control this, and it was the wrong move, you know, like, cause he just ended up like out back, like in tears, and then I come back and he's like, "I'm sorry, man," you know, like the whole, and then we're having that conversation, and it's like, "All right, cool, let's go shoot, we're late," you know, we gotta do it. It was insane.
The next day I called him and I was like, "Hey, man, yesterday was an experience," and he goes, "Yeah, it was great, right?" And I go, "You know, Brian's kind of pissed at you." He goes, "For what?" I'm like, "It was really hard yesterday."
Both of us were secretly while I was editing it, you know, we kind of were hoping that it was not going to work, like that he was, so we can be like, "Dude, see, you fucked the movie up or whatever," but it was like, it works.
But,
you know?
and as
it's,
filmmakers,
like,
we gotta go like, "God, I hope it works."
Yeah.
But for the sake of proving a point, I hope he fucks it up. You know, like,
so it
anyway,
worked out. So
it was
good.
Anyway,
We'll put him in the next
get
one.
drunk
Yeah.
before you shoot.
Yeah.
But again, like, I gotta stress, you know, the idea of independent filmmaking. Like, we put this on a credit card, and a few other people gave us some financing for it. But it was one of those. I think when you asked about the basis of film noir, like Brian mentioned, it's survival. You know, if you can tell a story and use those unique techniques that hide it. Like I was using an example, like you throw in a Dutch angle on that lens, and you've just successfully blocked the two lights that are lighting everybody. You know, like because we don't have any money or time to relight or to have real people do it. So it's a neat convention, but
We,
it feeds into the.
We had James Avalon, one of the guys that was working on the crew, was like taking apart like movie posters and stuff, and like, you know, posting like sticks across them so we could make those like Venetian blinds and stuff like that. So it was like all sorts of like just basic little fun little tricks, you know.
I just noticed that the bags that y'all put on the outside of the window to block the lights when it would be nighttime. In that movie, it looks like trees blowing in the wind.
Yeah, it kind of works.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that was good.
I thought
wasn't
that's the second time I'm like, get out those tree bags.
Yes. Very funny, yeah.
Yeah, it's survival of the fittest.
Well, talking about foster, you sort of beat me to the punch there in that I was going to ask about, you know, the two things they say you should never do, which is work with children and animals. We've covered one of those.
Foster is an animal.
Yeah.
How was it working with your nephew? And before you answer that, I've got to say about your performance. I mean, there are so many great little small but very smart choices you make. And for the most part, I would say Zion is he's pretty much very, very much a natural on screen, I feel. But there is the one sort of heart-to-heart scene where he's telling you to follow your heart and do what's right for you. Maybe just because he's got more lines than in other scenes, it feels a little like a kid just trying to remember his lines.
Mm-hmm.
But then you respond with just 2 words and you say, I will. And it just sells it as this completely believable, heartbreaking sort of moment of bonding and epiphany. And it's, you know, 2 words, and it's my favorite moment in the movie. So not only are you great, but you're making the kid great too in that moment.
Very kind of you. Appreciate that. It's all subjective, but thank you, man. It's as an actor, man. It's like, it's so hard to watch it. It's stereotypical of an actor to say that. But it was a little difficult, to be honest, working with Zion. And I'm sure he thought it was really difficult working with me, because all he saw was an asshole all day. You know, and really, he had to interact with a raging asshole the whole time. But he was a kid, and it was hard. You could see him remembering his lines, but that's part of it, you know.
Yeah, but still, in the final edit,
Yeah,
I mean, that only comes across.
It does.
A very
Well, there's a
diffused-
moment you can see it in that same conversation, and I figured it out in the editing what Zion was doing, and it pissed you off. Where there's actually a take where you stop and you're like, Zion, stop doing that or whatnot. But he was imitating Logan. He was like starting to do his hand things and stuff, and you can one shot where you can see it. And we didn't understand it, but then I started realizing when I was editing that he was trying to figure out how to act or whatnot. So he was like watching Logan, and he was like kind of like, he wasn't mocking him. He was just trying to like, all right, we're acting now. This is what I do. You know? So,
And he
very
would
cute.
do stuff like, it was just to give a real example.
Yeah.
One example, we'd be setting up a shot, and again, it was midsummer. It's hot. There's a lot of people crammed in an apartment, and we would pull focus, and the clapper would go down. And every time the clapper would go, he'd reach out and touch it.
Every time he was in a scene, he had to touch the
Go out
clapper.
and touch the clapper after a shot, and it's like,
It was really
you know,
funny.
you're trying to get to a place and trying to understand where your lines are and where you were just a second ago, and this kid's touching the clapper, and then Brian would go, okay, ready, sound speeds, action, and Zion would go, and take off, and be like, gotta pee, and then come back in with 2 cookies. And then Brian would be like, put the cookies down, Zion, shoot. And I didn't realize it, but he was really like tormenting us into the place where we wanted
It
to
was
be
perfect,
anyway.
yeah.
So it worked out fine.
Yeah.
I feel like I owe the kid an apology. So,
I said about 2 of the really hard things to do. We'll add a third to that list, which is, if you think about it, I've not timed it or anything, but a good 20 minutes is you all sat around a dinner table scene. Notoriously difficult because of sight lines, contiguity. I mean, purposely you sort of kept food out of it
Right.
for that reason.
We don't
I
need
guess.
anything, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'll start with you actually, Amy. I mean, how was that experience? I'm not sure how long that went, how much of the shoot
That was
that
a while.
complies,
That was
but-
most of my shooting,
Mhm.
probably. But I was thinking of when I was watching it just now, I was like, oh wow, yeah, we stared at that food for a long time and didn't touch it.
Yeah.
And that wine wasn't real. And I think that was just probably the most challenging, just in the sense of we had so many people in the room. It was the whole cast, basically. But I mean, working with Dubeck, Chris.
Noted character actor. It
Yeah,
should be said.
who
I mean,
played the
we've gone
camera
from
daily
non-professional
guy.
kids, and then on the other end of the scale, I mean, Dubeck is.
Yeah.
IMDb him, you know, he's a legend in his own
Absolutely.
lunchtime.
Yeah.
He's a that guy. He's a classic.
Right,
that
right.
guy.
Like, oh, him. He was
Actor.
amazing, and he just would riff and just the different ways he would say this ludicrous stuff about the tuning fork and shit. It was so fun to
Yeah.
watch. He's really a master.
And
It
if
was
you
really
really
cool.
listen to him like as if he's telling the truth about all that bullshit, it
Dumb,
just
that
it's
stupid
so
scarf.
insidious. You know,
all of
like
it was just.
yeah, the whole thing was
I'd look over and he'd just be picking up his scarf, going.
Well, and the thing about when you guys first walk into that scene is like, I looked at the moon for 20 years,
Yeah.
and I just saw the man.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, shut up. And we live in Los Angeles, so there's a lot of people. You know, like, that's who sells us
That's
our
like every
coffee.
third person.
Yeah.
So,
Trader Joe's.
so yeah, that scene was it's kind of taxing, but it was also a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really wanted to eat the food.
His brother was also just, he was like as if he was launched out of a cannon. And,
Yeah.
you know,
It's frightening.
It's
the way
frightening.
of watching it. I've seen him in other things.
Yeah.
I've seen it
and
twice.
Carlos spills the
It
beans, he's
frightens me
amazing as well.
He's
in that film.
Yeah. His energy, yeah, Barbara. His energy reminds me of like Michael Richards, like Kramer from like, yeah, from Seinfeld or whatnot. He's on like just another plane, and that's my brother. But he's done that to me before. I'm like, oh, how do you do that? Spaz.
He would just, and he could break you by looking you in the eye and be like, oh, get some rope.
Yeah, he's hard not to laugh at.
It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
But again, like he would come in, everybody came in with power behind him, so it was really mostly wrangling people.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, Logan, what about the scene in which you're essentially looking yourself in the eye, this amazing 25th hour style mirror monologue, where I think you give us pretty much every iteration of the word fuck that's humanly possible. The whole time you're doing it, you know, you're gnashing your teeth, you're like a rabid dog, so yeah, tell me about that scene and getting into that headspace and even how many takes, I'd be curious to know.
It was absolutely cathartic. It was the best scene ever. Brian was like, just run, fill the space, do whatever you know. The dialogue was written, but it was just absolutely cathartic, and it was angry and sad, and I mean, it's that selfish actor bullshit of I got to work through some stuff, and really kind of, I know it's stupid, right? I should pay for therapy, but
Just tuning fork.
just tuning fork it. But you know, it was a lot of fun, and it was as real a moment as I've ever had.
I remember after one of the takes or whatnot, like I was just like, you know, standing in the shower behind the camera, and I was like laughing my ass off, and Logan just turns around with the saddest fucking look, you know, and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be laughing right now, like, you know, but like it's a funny scene, right? You know, but
And we had this conversation at the bar
Yeah.
or the pub last night, and he goes, when he laughed at me, he goes, you really looked really sad, and I was like, yeah, and I kind of gone through it and got to the end of the moment, so when you laughed, I was like, yeah, fuck me.
yeah.
You know, that's all right, I get you, and that's why we're best friends, because,
Yeah,
you know, I don't
what do we do? Like, I don't think it was that many takes, like maybe 3 or 4 takes
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
I just ran.
And then the one outside the door, which was really hard to fix the sound on that because I was out in the hallway laughing my ass off at that shadow. That fucking dog. Yeah, it's just great. I love that show.
And again, and
Very
preface it
Looney
with,
Tunes.
Yeah.
right, and preface it with one tiny apartment in Silver Lake and like a kid of like 4 lights. We had, you know, 2 grips and what we refer to as our on-set Marine. We have a friend who's a retired Marine, and we keep him on set every time, and that helped, and that was it. I mean, we had one moment where we're all set up in the kitchen and pull lights and everything, and Brian yells action, and exactly that moment the sink erupted.
Yeah,
And
right on action.
On action, the sink blew
Flooding
off,
the
and
kitchen.
water started flooding the kitchen. And our on-set Marine, before anybody could do anything, was pulling shit out. He's like, give me 3 rags and some duct tape. And it was like they tucked it up, and water was pouring out from under the sink, and Brian's like, let's get it. Let's just get it. Shoot, shoot, shoot. So we shot it, and water's flooding. And, you know, it's independent filmmaking.
So have the DP, have Grips, and have MacGyver, and you're good.
You guys, I think you guys have Royal Marines here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
get one
right.
of those, you know, or 2 if you can afford them.
One of those guys.
Yeah.
Well, there is one element that I was initially disappointed. It was only when you get about half an hour in, because Brian, for my money, is just as fantastic actor as he is a filmmaker. And I would encourage you all to see a film called Diamond on Vinyl that you did, I can't remember how many years ago now.
2 or 3 years
Two or
ago.
three.
Yeah.
And In Search of a Midnight Kiss as well, which was a big release here a few years back. You're not in this one, but yet you are in probably the most ingenious writer-director cameo ever, as Soldier Boy.
As the toy, yeah.
He had it made in his likeness. Yeah.
I don't think it looks like me, but everybody else kind of says
No, I
it does.
got it right away.
I'm a big UFC fan, and I made my character in the game, you know, and it looks just like Soldier Boy. It doesn't look like me, so maybe it doesn't look me.
Well, tell us about making that wildly inappropriate, offensive Soldier Boy commercial, and putting your family members in that. Also.
Yes, yeah, those are my also my nieces and nephew. Yeah, they play the Oriental. Well, my favorite thing about that commercial is something that you pointed out to me, and I wish this was on purpose. But Tim was like, "Why do you have this big adult hand running the toy across the screen? Like, what couldn't you have
All the
gotten
hairs
like
are on it."
Yeah, and I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I just wanted to do it, you know. So with my hand or whatever." Zion was right there. Like, we could have had him do it. You're right. Like, it would have been smarter, but I don't know. I love the commercial. That's one of my favorite parts about the movie. You know.
More guts than your father.
There's half of America right now that would find nothing offensive. Idiots.
I've actually made a Soldier Boy cartoon, or there's a part 1. We never put it out into the world yet, but if you're interested, I'll send you a link.
Extras.
Well, it's like him and George Bush, and it's like it's an animated thing, and they're like it's a flashback thing to like how something about Gaddafi. No, not Gaddafi. Whatever. I'll send it to you. It's been a while since I watched it.
Hussein.
Hussein. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
God, there's so many of them.
So many crackpots.
Right?
Just a couple more questions before we hand it over to the crowd. I was wondering, Logan, as to like aspects or details of the character that really appealed to you. I find so many. One that just watching it the second time today is that he's this toy collector, right? And he has so much pride in the fact that he's a toy collector. And you see his collection eventually, and it's pretty crummy. And being a Star Wars nerd, I saw those Star Wars toys. I was like, those are from 3 years ago. Those aren't worth shit. There's no vintage in this collection whatsoever. And I'm sure that was because of budget, mostly.
We had one old metal airplane.
Yeah.
But it's sort of just it's a beautiful
It is-
encapsulation of the
It
sadness
is,
of
but
his
again,
life.
like we've kind of discussed it because we designed everything on the pedestals, and the idea being, like he says, like I can't afford a car, but it's not like I don't like cars. I'm gonna get one, you know. Like I have Soldier Boy, the first like #1 Soldier Boy. Everything else, like, what are you talking about? You know, nothing else matters, and quantity is not a quality. You know? So it was like we had a couple of good ones, and in my mind, that was his pride. Like he would go in there for his moments of zen and be like, "It's you and me, Soldier Boy. It's you and me." You know, so.
I like how it's pushed back into the back storage bedroom too. It's like you're pushed out of the
Rose
house
wouldn't
to the
allow.
roads.
Yeah.
Kind of a nice trait.
I forgot, you reminded me about how goddamn hot it was in that.
Yeah, it was very hot.
Hot naturally, or just with the lights?
It's
as well?
summertime hot.
Summertime hot
Yeah.
in LA and the lights and the full suit and hat. But you know.
Yeah, because you never really get a sense until someone comes to the door, and then that sort of clued me into that you might have shot it during a hot season.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Well,
You
and
have sort of this blasting light.
that's one of the aesthetics is that it's like this little universe in that apartment. You know, that it's its own universe, and outside the world doesn't really matter.
I actually still live there. I lived in that place.
But the other prior 6 movies were shot in his other place.
In my last place.
Yeah, I miss like, with the red brick.
Yeah.
Kitchen.
Hand drawn red brick wall.
For the movie
I
On
miss
Holiday,
it
we
now.
painted
Yeah,
his
I did
kitchen
too.
red and in marker drew in bricks. And then the lead in that movie, Whitmer, dresses like the red bricks and stands next to the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun movie.
And yeah, just before we turn over to crowd questions, what was, or we'll just go down the line, the biggest challenge and fondest memory of making the movie?
Biggest challenge is definitely the working with Snake. That was the biggest challenge. Fondest memory, I don't know. it's all a blur, you know. Like today, watching it on the big screen, this is the first time I got to see it on the big screen, and God damn, this guy fucking killed it. Like you have so much power. I just loved watching you. So that's gonna be my fondest memories right now.
Hey, thanks. I thought I was really good too. No, I don't. It's subjective, so I don't. It's hard to understand that. My hardest thing was Zion. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I love that kid, but God, it was hard.
Yeah, it was.
It was hard.
He's
But
like
it made
us.
me better, you know.
He was 7. He's 9. He's like a different.
He's a whole
human
human.
being
He's like a
now.
grown-ass
Yeah,
human
yeah.
now.
He's like, what's up? You
I
know?
think
Yeah.
my fondest memory was the Sklar brothers, the guys who play the
Yeah.
cops. I don't know if you guys know them, but they're really big in America, and they have like a show on CNN, or ESPN and
Yeah,
stuff. And they're those comedians, like da-da-da-da-da. And what you saw was just a sliver of what they did, because they just did so much, and they know each other so well. It was
Well, they're brothers.
yes. Well, but that was my
They
most.
know each other. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, they are.
I think the hardest thing was getting to take days off of my day job as a secretary. And then that is also my fondest moment. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I can't beat that. I can't beat that as an ending. But if anyone else has any more questions, please.
I don't know. I think it's kind of amazing. Like we've had moments where we've like blown up on each other, and then the next moment, like because we're so close, you're so concerned, and so like the follow up of like, man, I'm sorry, are you okay? Like comes really quick, you know, and so like after you've kind of gone through that a few times, you kind of feel very safe, you know. And so when we're on set and we're working on something, like if you lose it a little bit, you know, you're kind of safe. Where if you're working for somebody that's there to get paid, they might be like, fuck this, I'm out of here or something, you know. So.
In fact, we've discussed every movie that we've had. There's somebody that's in the group that ends up not being able to hang with that kind of, you know, we can tell each other go fuck ourselves and then be okay with it, like dogs barking over a bowl and then they're playing the next moment.
Not to say that we do that very
No,
often.
it's
It
rare.
happens,
But if it happens, it can ruin a friendship, and it has. In every movie, there's one person that swings out of that crowd, and we just keep standing there.
Yeah, I think it gets hard, like making these films on low budgets. Like part of the way that it's done is all by like, you know, getting everybody to believe in it as much as I do when I first wrote it or whatnot. And that's the only way it works, because in Los Angeles, you know, there's so many people that just take jobs, scripts that come in and they just work and it's just a job. And we've had mistakes where these people have showed up to our very relaxed sets, and their energy just doesn't really sink in and fit. So I don't know. I feel like, you know, like Scorsese always works with the same people. Like Tarantino works with the same. I think there's something to that. Like the more you know each other, I think the better the product can get, I think, or something. Did I just call it a product? It is. It was weird. Yeah, any more questions? Yeah.
Yeah, you had mentioned you had shot for about 2 weeks. What was the total time from conception to completion?
Like through the editing process and all
No,
that?
from the idea?
From the
From the
idea?
idea
Oh,
to
shit.
completely done.
Too much?
No, I would say longer, because I had so many technical problems. With the editing and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean,
colored that movie like 5 times, and it's black and white. That's how bad it was. I would say it took maybe 2 months for the editing, which is like rare for me, because I usually go a little bit faster than that. But and this one, after the last film that I had done, was a film called Window Licker, which has so much crazy editing, all these different worlds. So I wanted to try to just make something really straight and simple that would be like real easy to put together, and then all the technical stuff's hit. So I don't know. I wrote it in maybe a month, and then we shot in, I think it was like 12 days, and then and then it's in 2 years till we're actually screening it now. So that's
But the initial part was he called me. We were at another wedding and we just started dating. He calls me and goes, "Hey, your girlfriend's a comedian, right? Because Amy's a stand-up, and she's been all over California and Vegas and stuff doing stand-up." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Does she have stuff online?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I send him a connection, and then 30 minutes later he calls me back. Goes, "Okay, I'm writing a movie for you guys." Okay, great. And I go, "Hey, honey, Brian's gonna write a movie. Okay, great, you know.
Yeah.
And then a month later, I'm like, you need 12 days off. The movie. Oh, that's a real thing? Yeah. I'm not as full of shit as you think. She's like,
Any more?
Any more questions?
Yes.
Did you know Harry Dean Stanton before?
I'll let you take that one, sir.
yeah, Harry and I are heterosexual life partners. I've known Harry for 15 years, and I've been his assistant that long, and his manager, and his best, and we're best friends. My son is named Stanton because you couldn't name him Harry. It'd make the first name an adjective, you know, Harry Lloyd or whatever. But,
Harry Sparks.
right. But Harry is we're best friends, and in fact I wrote and produced a film that John Carroll Lynch directed that stars Harry Dean, David Lynch, Ron Livingston, Beth Grant, who else is in it? Oh, Tom Skerritt.
Yeah.
And first time Harry and Tom Skerritt have been on screen together since Alien. And the first time David Lynch and Harry have been on screen together. And it's in editing now. We're trying to take it to Sundance. The deadline for Sundance, October 1st. The first movie I've written and the first movie I produced outside of Brian. And it was one of those like logistical things of in order to get it made, I had to go with, you know, these financiers and these people and the people they recommend. It's a beautiful film, and it's I think the best work Harry's done since Paris, Texas. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. I know it sounds like I'm bullshitting, but he has a phone call where he talks about killing a mockingbird when he was like 6 years old, and when he pulled the trigger and the mockingbird stopped singing, the silence it cast in the world was devastating. And that's a real story he told me, and I put in this movie, and it's this personal thing where I was watching it and just heartbroken. So the movie's called Lucky, and hopefully it'll be like mass released and whatnot, and maybe in a year or two we'll bring it here as well. So that would be great.
Yeah. So because of that, you know, Harry's has popped up in 4 of the
Yeah,
films
he's
that
done
we've
several,
made.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's all. I mean, it's crazy honor to work with Harry. You know, like it's been one of my heroes since I was a kid. You know.
The first movie we made together is called On Holiday. It came out in 2009, and it stars John Hawkes and Harry Dean Stanton and the guy who plays Snake and a handful of others. And while we were filming it, John Hawkes got nominated for Academy Award for Winter's Bone, and we still had a good day left with him. We're like, John, we're still not paying you. And you still have to stay because continuity.
And then Harry put me through the ringer on that one too, because that was the first time that that I got to work with them. And Logan was like, "You got to call Harry and talk to him about getting him in this movie." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And he's literally, it's like just a cameo. He walks in, he's like a dad of his son is like, or like his son's roommate has like a drug party and everybody's passed out all over the room. So he walks in and he looks around and he goes, "What are these people, homeless?" And like that's it, So I'm on the phone with him and he's like, "Where do I work?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, you work at Boeing." And he's like, "Are we, how many kids do I have?" And I'm just making up all this stuff. He's like, "Why are we stopping by the house?" And I'm like, "Well, your son forgot his charger for his cell phone." He's like, "Where are we going?" I'm like, "You're going to a very nice, expensive meal." He's like, "Where?" Stumped me, right? I'm like, "I don't know, Harry. It's been a long time since I've had a good meal. You're going to have to pick the place." Dead silence, I'm like, "Oh, shit," And then he's like, "Yeah, I think I can do it," Scared the hell out of me.